in the witness chair who's going to lead off, but then if you'd like to go after that, if you don't mind waiting a few minutes.
I don't mind. That's totally fine.
All right, great. And if you want to mute in the meantime, we'll go ahead and get started.
Go ahead. Okay. You all know my name is Ivy Enoch. I'm the SNAP Policy and Training Lead at Hunger Free Vermont. Thank you, Chair and committee members, for this opportunity to testify. We're here with our partners and neighbors for SNAP Awareness Day to ask for your support on requests that together will make Vermont more food secure. Over many years, Three Squares Vermont participants have shared with us and referred to Three Squares Vermont as a lifeline. In many cases, the only reason they are able to afford groceries. As someone who was raised by an extremely loving and hardworking single father, raising twin daughters, I know that the SNAP benefits my dad received was our entire monthly grocery budget. I know firsthand the power of SNAP to help families get by, to catch up, while still experiencing the joy of a nourishing meal. I wouldn't be where I am today, sitting with you all, without SNAP. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also called by its acronym SNAP, is a federal food program intended to help people buy the food they need and want. It is a program of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, which has given states permission to choose their own name if they wish. So that's why SNAP is referred to Three Squares Vermont in our state. So SNAP, Three Squares Vermont, same program. It's a program administered by the Department for Children and Families Economic Services Division of the Agency of Human Services. Three Squares Vermont benefits come on an EBT card that works just like a regular debit card. So a trip to the grocery store with Three Squares Vermont looks like any other shopper's experience. People can use their benefits at any authorized retailer, including large grocery stores and smaller independent retailers like general stores, convenience stores, markets, or at farm stands and farmers markets. And each month, Three Squares Vermont keeps roughly $12 million of federal dollars in our state economy, supporting our local farmers, growers, businesses, and entire community. So not only is it a vital anti-hunger program, it's an extremely effective economic stimulus program. People who use Three Squares Vermont must qualify by earning 185% of the federal poverty level or less. For an individual person, that means monthly earnings of roughly $2,400 or roughly $26,000 annually. Benefits are determined on a sliding scale based on household size, income, and expenses like rent or mortgage, childcare, and the like. There is a guaranteed federal minimum benefit amount for household sizes of 1 and 2, which are typically older adults or folks living on their own, and that benefit amount is $23 every month. However, for households of 3 or more, their qualifying benefit may be as low as $1 every month. So over 68,000 Vermonters, including more than 20,000 children and 17,000 older adults, participate in Three Squares Vermont. But this actually accounts for only half of the folks in our state who may be income eligible. And primary reasons for this discrepancy may be the stigma and shame associated with applying for government food assistance programs, even if you are eligible, and even if you know that your tax dollars pay for this program. When Congress ended the temporary increase to SNAP benefits called emergency allotments in April of 2023, the majority of Three Squares Vermont households at the time, that was roughly 72,000 people, lost between $100 and $500 every month in their grocery budget. And the impact was devastating to families and is still felt today. The challenges our fellow Vermonters have endured over the last year alone, as you all know and understand very deeply, the catastrophic flooding in July, record high inflation, food costs, and the ending of pandemic era programs, federal programs, have caused cascading crises. And recovering from these cascading crises is not something that any of our community organizations, partners, or neighbors can accomplish on their own. As legislators, you can make policy choices that will ensure food security for everyone who lives here. Food security for all is possible, And once we achieve it, the ripple effects will be clearly visible in our communities and across our entire state. There are 4 critical actions you can take now to help fill the gaps, to pick up the slack that our federal government has left dragging. We urge you to consider the following opportunities in front of you. The first is supporting the request for $5 million in base funding in FY25 for the Vermont Food Bank to purchase food and support community-based partners. The Food Bank's network partners are seeing sustained, record-setting usage of food shelves and pantries across the state. Network partners continue to share that not only is the need greater, but more people who've otherwise never had to visit a food shelf before are now leaning on their services to put food on the table. The second is to support the request for $2 million in base funding for the Vermont Area Agencies on Aging to support the increased demand for Meals on Wheels to meet the nutritional needs of the growing demographic of older Vermonters. Thirdly, support the request for $478,500 in base funding to strengthen Vermont farm viability and address food security by sustaining 2 successful and proven NOFA Vermont programs, Crop Cash Plus and Farm Share. And lastly, support H703, which seeks to establish a restaurant meals program for certain SNAP participants in Vermont and direct the state SNAP agency to produce a transition plan to increase that SNAP minimum benefit amount for all participants. So this bill has 2 sections. Firstly, the restaurant meals program allows certain SNAP recipients to use their benefits at approved restaurants, and I'll call it by its acronym, RPM. The Restaurant Meals Program was designed specifically to support elderly people, disabled people, and unhoused people because these populations typically encounter access barriers and challenges with being able to buy, store, and cook food. Secondly, the existing formula for calculating the SNAP minimum benefit is woefully inadequate, outdated, and only guaranteed for household sizes of 1 and 2. H703 would direct the state to produce a transition plan to establish a state-funded supplement to the federal minimum benefit and provide more meaningful support to participants. These 4 actions will significantly contribute to alleviating the hardship faced by our communities and pave the way for a more secure and resilient Vermont. I urge each member of this committee to consider these important opportunities and make informed policy choices that will positively impact the lives of our fellow Vermonters. Thank you so much for your time and consideration. I'm happy to answer any questions, or if you want to move on to the next person.
We'll take a question or 2. I just want to mention to the committee that we have 6 witnesses scheduled in an hour to do it. I know we got started a few minutes late. I don't know that each witness will have the same amount of testimony, but we can definitely take a couple of questions. Representative Levitt.
Oh, my question is really simple. Can you get that to Sidonia?
Yes, absolutely.
have that?
The written testimony.
That'd be
yes,
great. 'Cause
Definitely.
You lost me on the H703.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
we don't need to go over it now.
That's
but
an easy one.
If I have it, that'd be great. Thank
We can
you.
do that.
That's all yeah.
And I think I'll just flag that we have not yet really had any conversations about the FY25 budget. So when we turn our attention to that, we might ask you back, or if the document that you're sending to the committee is enough from your perspective, that's fine too.
Okay, that sounds great. And there are a number of other materials associated with SNAP Awareness Day that may be helpful for this committee, and we'd be happy to share that digitally as well.
Representative O'Brien.
Do other states have SNAP programs that you can use in restaurants or?
Yes.
DoorDash or
Yeah,
whatever?
so this is a federal option that states can adopt. And right now, I believe there are 8 other states which have a restaurant meals program.
All right. Well, Nikki has joined us online with her family, and I'm not sure that she has all afternoon to be waiting. So we will bump her to the top of the list. And Nikki, you're unmuted now, and you can hear us, it sounds like.
Yes, thank you so much.
Well, if you'd like to just introduce yourself for the record, and then we'd love to hear from you.
Okay, great. My name is Nikki Giraffe, and I am the mother of 2 kids, ages 2 and 6 from Cabot. And I'm just here to tell you how wonderful the Farm Share and Crop Cash programs have been for our family and how much we appreciate them and would love for them to continue. As a participant in these programs, we need the state of Vermont to support NOFA's request for $478,500 in base funding to strengthen Vermont farm viability and address food security by sustaining two proven NOFA Vermont programs, Crop Cash and Crop Cash Plus, and the Farm Share program. We as a family love to buy local food and support our local farmers. It's healthier for us and good for our environment and for our economy. But local food is so expensive that it is hard to buy very much of it. We would go to the farmers markets and pick out one or two fruits or veggies as a special treat for the kids. But then last summer with the Crop Cash and Crop Cash Plus matching funds with our EBT card, we were able to buy fruits, vegetables, meat, milk, and cheese, all from local farms every week. We were even able to buy some extra and freeze it and can it so that we are eating it now in the middle of the winter. Our local farmers who became our friends as we saw them every week would tell us thank you for supporting them during such a tough season. And the kids were much more likely to eat their veggies when they were connected to the market and the farmers growing them. We ended up feeling like an important part of the local food scene, and that was so great. And I know a lot of other families who have also benefited from the Crop Cash program. It's such a wonderful way to support families and farmers. We've also been lucky enough to receive a discounted farm share through NOFA for several seasons in a row. I can't tell you how much this brings joy and nutrition into our house. We get a box of veggies, fresh veggies every week from Pete's Greens. And it's like Christmas every Wednesday when the kids get to open it. Cabbage, carrots, bok choy, parsnips. Everybody is so excited about the beautiful fresh veggies. I can cook up pretty much anything from that box. And if I say, these are our farm share collards and onions, or whatever it is, the kids will gobble them up. We are hoping to visit the farm where the veggies grow this spring. I love that our kids know where our food comes from and who grows it. It really feels like community. It's wonderful to feel like we're supporting something that is so good for everybody involved. The farms, our state's livelihood, the earth, and us. I request that you support the request for $5 million in base funding for the FY25 budget for the Vermont Food Bank to purchase food and support community-based partners. Please support the request for $2 million in base funding for Vermont area agencies on aging to support the increased demand for Meals on Wheels to meet the nutritional needs of the growing demographic of older Vermonters. Support S215 ORH703, which is the restaurant meals program for SNAP participants, and also helps the state have a transition plan to increase the SNAP minimum for everyone who's participating. And also support the request for $478,500 in base funding to strengthen the Vermont farm viability and address food security by sustaining two of those NOFA Vermont programs, which have benefited us so much, Crop Cash and Crop Cash Plus and the Farm Share. Thank you so much for listening and considering these requests. I'm also happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Okay, thank you very much, Nikki. Does anybody have a question? Oh, okay, probably since you have your hands full, you're welcome to stay and listen in on the rest of the conversation, but we'll let you
Thanks
go.
so much.
Thanks. And I'm going to ask if Amy would like to come up next. Good afternoon.
Great. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Amy Scott, and I think I'll repeat that in this, and plus a little bit of information that Ivy gave because she did such a great job with her testimony. I know that I'm gonna just echo a lot of the things that she and Nikki said, but this time from the food pantry perspective. So thank you for allowing me to speak today on behalf of food insecure families in Rutland and Bennington County. My name is Amy Scott. I live in Rutland. I'm the food program coordinator at Brock Community Action. Brock is a partner organization of the Vermont Food Bank. I am joined today by several community organizations that have asked me to testify to what I see in my work in our community food shelves. These organizations give me the tools that I need to fight hunger in our community. When the temporary increase to SNAP benefits ended in April 2023, most SNAP eligible households in Vermont lost between $100 and $500 a month in groceries. The impact was devastating to families, and combined with recent food prices, Vermont's harrowing floods, and the long economic recovery from the pandemic, this devastation has not relented. At the height of the pandemic, Three Squares Vermont provided the maximum benefit to all who qualified. During that time, our Rutland food shelf was serving 263 individual households per month. This January, the one that we're in right now, Brock's community food shelf in Rutland has served 961 individual households. We are experiencing a 72% increase in the number of community members accessing our food shelf since April 2023. When we open Brock's front doors at 8 a.m., elderly community members are waiting outside in any weather condition to be among the first to shop. These are gentlemen that are wearing their service caps. I mean, these are people that have been working their entire lives in the state of Vermont, have been paying taxes, and are now on Social Security and making $1,300 a month on that Social Security. And we are the only way that they have right now to supplement their food income. Multi-generations of families greet each other at their weekly meetup in our lobby. There's laughing, handshaking, and hugs, but no one truly wants to be there. My staff often must move baby strollers and walkers and wheelchairs to get food deliveries through the packed lobby so that it can be sorted and distributed. Parents often wait outside with small children and babies for their turn to shop. I work hard to reward their effort with a nutritious selection, including as many Vermont grown or produced items as possible. I shop hyper locally to support the farmers in our communities that we represent. I know that not only are they providing the most beautiful produce and dairy that I can get my hands on, but if we don't support them, they too will be waiting with their families outside in our lobby. Our food shelf relies on donations from our community, salvaged food from local grocery stores, and grant funds. Every week, I negotiate the receipt of 20,000 pounds of food.
Wow.
We have very little storage and the funding to support only 3 full-time positions. Our program is swollen with the need of our community and stretched beyond reasonable capacity. To keep up with demand, our food shelves will ask for nearly double the food and funding provided to us in 2023 by the Vermont Food Bank. The Vermont Food Bank is our #1 resource for purchasing food and applying for capacity building grants that allow our agency to feed an ever-growing number of your constituents. We need your support in order to qualify more Vermonters for SNAP benefits and bring the number of people accessing our food pantries down. The SNAP benefits allow families to avoid the wait, the stress, and the stigma that sometimes forces them to either skip a meal and hold out for the last moment, or sometimes just go past that and not eat at all. With the blessing of our families in Rutland and Bennington counties, I ask that you please address the ongoing needs of Vermonters facing food insecurity by supporting these 4 initiatives suggested by the Vermont Food Bank. Support the request for $5 million in base funding for the full year 2025 budget for the Vermont Food Bank to purchase food and support community-based partners like me. Support the request of $2 million in base funding for the Vermont area agencies on aging to support the increased demands on Meals on Wheels to meet the nutritional needs of the growing demographic of older Vermonters, which we all know is there, and a lot of times they can't even get out of their house at this point of the year, so Meals on Wheels, very important. Support S215 or H703, which seeks to establish a restaurant meals program for SNAP participants in Vermont, and direct the state SNAP agency to produce a transition program to increase the SNAP minimum benefit amount for all participants. Support the request for $478,500 in base funding to strengthen Vermont farm viability and address food security by sustaining 2 proven NOFA Vermont programs, Crop Cash Plus, which we just heard about, and the Farm Share program. Thank you for the job that you do every day for the state of Vermont and for allowing me to speak to you about the importance of SNAP benefits for Rutland and Bennington County families. Does anybody have any questions for me?
I have a quick one.
Yeah, I just want to point out that Rock Community Action is one of 5 organizations throughout the state that serve more or less the same function. And are you able to name the other 4?
Yes,
That'd be
there's
helpful for.
CVOEO, NECA, the Capstone Community. So it's all of those community action agencies. I'm missing one. SEPCA, thank you. So it's the community action agencies, which we have in a few, we have a few different counties that participate together, but we have a lot of different services that we offer. So once folks come in and they may come in to use the food shelf, we also offer them the next steps to get them out of crisis and then provide with a path forward for them. So having our food shelf there is probably the more robust program that we have, that and weatherization, but we're working with a lot of people. It's pretty amazing.
Great. Question, Representative.
Just 2 quick questions.
Yeah.
And this might be more for Ivy. I thought SNAP was federal, so there isn't much Vermont can do about a federal program except through our federal delegation, correct? Basically.
Would you like me to?
Well,
Or we can look back, we can look
yes,
back.
yeah, we can look back, yeah.
And then seriously, 20,000 pounds of food a week?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
10,000 delivered by the Vermont Food Bank, up to 15 sometimes is our load. And then they also do a different, and then we're getting all of our fresh rescue stuff in to the tune of like 400,000 pounds last year.
Oh my God. Okay.
And one lady in a van driving around and picking it up.
Yeah, my food shop gets like 3,000 pounds from, and 20,000 is just mind blowing to me.
Representative Lipsky?
Thank you, Amy. This committee had the privilege of visiting the primary food hub of Vermont Food Bank in Barre a week and a half ago. And they talked about their satellite facility in Rutland, which I assume was you. And they also showed us state-of-the-art refrigeration update and freezer update there, and spoke of a need in that area, particularly in Rutland. Could you tell us any plans, if any, you have for,
So I can't
Capital.
speak, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
just for that possible capital expansion that might increase the sustainability of certain products?
So I am probably one of the organizations that's begging the Vermont Food Bank to do that. I work for Brock Community Action, so we're one of the partner organizations that the food bank has. So we rely on that Rutland facility in order to get our food. Today, when I went in and opened up the walk-in refrigerator and freezer that we have, we were completely empty of vegetables. We picked up on Thursday last week. So I called Casey at the Vermont Food Bank, asked her if I could get some vegetables from her. We were going to send somebody down with the van, but they didn't have a lot either at this point. So if they were able to get more of the things that are coming from Barre to Rutland more often, I believe that we and the other organizations that we work with would have a little bit more access to all of the fruits and vegetables, eggs, dairy, so that we can get those and put them on the shelves where folks are going to come in and get them from me. So we've been asking them for a lot more help. So, which is in turn why I'm sure they're asking you. So we just hope that you'll be able to give them a vote because they need it. So
Can you say again, Amy, how many days a week?
we're open, the food shelf is open 5 days a week. We're open for 2 hours for shopping because then the rest of it is us trying to stock the shelves intern for the next day. And then on Fridays, we're open for 2 hours in the morning. And then we have a quick lunch if we get it. And we open for a special hour for USCRI, for the US Council on Refugees and Immigrants, so that they can come in and get culturally sensitive foods. And then after that, we are open for the senior hour, which is our favorite hour of the whole week. But the seniors come in and clean us out in the afternoon, so which is great.
All right. Well, thank you, Amy. Thank you for testifying today. Thank you for the work
Take your
you do. And let's see. We've got Joanna, Joey, and Sherry. Yes, would you like to come up? Okay. Hi.
Thank you so much for having us today. I'm Joanna Doran. I live in Winooski, and I'm the local food access coordinator with the Northeast Organic Farming Association of Vermont, or NOFA Vermont. Am I speaking loud enough for you all? Okay. So I'm going to talk about the importance of SNAP and SNAP incentive programs like Crop Cash that Nikki was talking about, and Crop Cash Plus, which really connect people with SNAP benefits with their local farmers at farmers markets. And as you've heard, we're asking for support for a number of programs at a really critical time. So we're asking you to provide $5 million in base funding for the Vermont Food Bank, establish a SNAP restaurant meals program in Vermont, provide $2 million in base funding for Meals on Wheels, and support NOFA Vermont's request for $478,500 in base funding for Crop Cash Plus and Farm Share. So at NOFA, I coordinate both the Crop Cash Plus and Farm Share programs, which both provide financial assistance to low-income Vermonters to be able to purchase more food from local farms. These statewide programs are really win-win because with every dollar that we provide in assistance to low-income Vermonters, that dollar goes directly back to a local farmer. So it simultaneously is helping support food security and accessing local fresh food, with also the main priority, one of the main priorities of NOFA, which is to support organic farmers in Vermont. So through these programs, Vermont farmers receive a reliable, fair price for their goods. Crop Cash specifically doubles 3 Squares Vermont, or SNAP dollars, when they're spent at farmers markets. And those can be spent, those Crop Cash coupons can be spent on fruits and vegetables. In 2023, thanks to a one-time legislative appropriation for FY23, we were able to pilot a new expansion to that program called Crop Cash Plus. And that allowed us to supplement the federal program that funds Crop Cash and allow folks to use Crop Cash Plus coupons on any SNAP eligible food. So not just fruits and vegetables, but also dairy, meat, eggs, things that support a full diet. And those dollars also supported those producers. So producers at markets that sell their dairy products or meat, eggs, could now receive the funds that was being funneled into the farmers markets through this program. And so this program was incredibly successful. Once SNAP recipients learned that they could get $1 of Crop Cash and $1 of Crop Cash Plus when they visited the farmers market and spent $1 of SNAP, effectively turning $1 into $3, they learned that this was a great way to maximize, the probably low amount of SNAP dollars that they were getting from the federal government and keeping those dollars in the local economy. So a lot of people learned about it. A lot of people used it and came to the farmers markets for the first time. And we actually ran out of funds for that program in 5 months. We had expected to run this program all throughout the year, but we had to pause it because money had been spent and the rates of usage were tremendously higher than we ever expected. In fact, this past summer in 2023, about 3 times as much money in Crop Cash and Crop Cash Plus was used compared to the prior summer. So I've received over 60 testimonials from people that have used Crop Cash, and vendors at farmers markets that have received those coupons that turn into money for them. Here's a booklet of them if you have extra time and want to read. You can just flip through it.
Thank you.
Yeah, but just a couple of snippets of those from one of the vendors at the Capital City Farmers Market in Montpelier, from Lazy Lady Farm in Westfield, said that the Crop Cash Plus pilot program was a huge benefit for both her and the folks using it. She said, with Crop Cash Plus, I was turning in several $100s worth of SNAP tokens that customers had used at my booth every other week, compared to just maybe 100 or a couple hundred the prior years. It was so good to see the folks have so much more buying power, and Crop Cash Plus added an extra 20% to my weekly sales. When a lot of farmers were struggling this summer after the floods, that is a critical component of their income. Another farm down in Danby, who vends at the Rutland farmers markets, provided another perspective that said Crop Cash is currently the best tool I have seen to actualize preventative health care. So it's not just about money, it is also about health and nutrition, and saving money down the road on healthcare costs. So Crop Cash is majority federally funded, though it requires NOFA to provide a local match from other sources. So as the program has grown significantly, it's been an increasingly heavy lift for us to find those dollars, and philanthropy alone can't meet that need. State funds will allow us both to draw down the federal funds that we need, which we can't do without the matching funds, so that we can continue operating Crop Cash at its increased level that we've seen over the last few years. And it would allow us to offer the incredibly impactful Crop Cash Plus program again. Again, that was funded by a one-time legislative appropriation in FY23. So if we don't find other funds for that, if we don't get state funding, we won't be able to offer that program again. And the Crop Cash program itself will just be limited to purchasing produce, and it'll be a lower level of benefit that SNAP recipients get at farmers markets. Really quickly, I also coordinate the Farm Share program, which Nikki also mentioned, which offers a discount to Vermonters to purchase a community-supported agriculture or CSA share. And this program has been in the works for 30 years. We've seen a huge increase in the last few years, particularly since 2019. Last year, we had a record number of applicants. We had 530 household applicants, and that was basically 260% of the number of applications that we saw in 2019. So from before the pandemic to now, it's increased dramatically. Farm Share has acted as a lifesaver for a lot of people, hundreds of families and up to 1,000 people every year, while funneling tens of thousands of dollars into farmers' pockets. So, you know, the pandemic and economic disruptions have altered the landscape of food security, as many today have talked about. Both Farm Share and Crop Cash have really stretched at their seams to fill in the gaps that reductions in pandemic era food programs have left. Without state funding, we won't be able to maintain the current level that we have provided through these programs, and we won't be able to continue the really beneficial Crop Cash Plus program. Unfortunately, our budget request was not included in the governor's budget. And so we are really hoping that we can share as much information with you all that you need to include it in your budget memo. And we would be happy to come back and testify if that's needed as you work on the budget. But we know that these programs are proven and effective. We already have the systems in place. And we know that the Vermont government can make policy choices that can bring us to a food secure Vermont. I would love to take any questions if you have any, and thank you so much for your time.
Representative O'Brien.
Just a couple questions. Just mechanically, how does Crop Cash work? So if I go to a farmer's market, I want to buy a bushel of potatoes. Like, I can triple that, right, essentially?
So yeah, so Ivy talked about EBT cards, which is how someone can spend their SNAP dollars. So you would take your EBT card, excuse me, very dry, to the market, swipe it. For every dollar of SNAP benefits you would purchase with that or use with that, you would get another a coupon of excuse me, of Crop Cash. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my gosh. And it basically looks like it's a coupon, and you would spend that at a farmer's market booth. So you would use it like cash, and then the farmer's market vendor redeems that at the end of the day with the farmer's market manager, and then NOFA reimburses the market. And then the market then reimburses the vendors for that.
One thing I didn't know is that you can buy seeds or plants with SNAP money. So at a farmer's market, you can buy tomato plants, for example.
Yes. Yeah, that's a really wonderful way to, increase food sovereignty so that people have the ability to purchase their own means of growing food if that's what they want to do.
So even like an apple tree I could buy, is that what you're
I think in theory, yeah, any plant that will grow food.
I have a couple questions. So Crop Cash, as it exists, is a federal program that requires a state partner, and NOFA is the partner. Is
Yes.
correct? So, and the benefit is doubled for Crop Cash. But with Crop Cash Plus, it's tripled.
That is how we operated it this last year for our pilot program of Crop Cash Plus. We have some latitude about how we can configure it, but that's how we piloted it.
Without getting too deep into the budget conversation, the request for, there's a number that starts with 400,000. I don't remember.
Yeah.
That's for Crop Cash Plus, and is that correct?
It provides some funds for Crop Cash to provide a matching amount, some funds for Crop Cash Plus to provide the incentive for food beyond just fruits and vegetables.
And I also don't want to talk about a bill that's not in our committee, but you've mentioned H703, and I think others have mentioned it too. I wonder whether, without talking about the bill, is there an attempt there to, it deals with restaurants. We know that SNAP benefits don't cover restaurant meals. Is there a connection there?
I think Ivy might know more about that bill, but the connection, I think they are entirely different programs currently, because SNAP benefits can't be used to purchase hot meals. Neither can any of these incentive programs. And so it would be a different program.
Representative Lipsky.
Just to follow up on Chairman Durfee's question. Earlier this morning, I was talking to someone, they focused on pre-prepared meals, and they could come from a deli or a bakery that might make chicken pot pies or something that you would take home and eat up for some elderly or even families that aren't not skilled necessarily or able to prepare a full meal. It seems like focusing on those pre-prepared, wherever they're acquired, would help folks understand what the expansion is really meant. the service and value is meant to provide. It's not going to a restaurant and having blowing your whole stipend on that one.
Right, so I think that's part of the Give Snap a Boost, or give, I'm getting the name wrong, but Hunger Free Vermont's advocacy to expand the ability for SNAP dollars to be spent on hot prepared meals, because we know that not everybody is able to prepare a meal for, a variety of reasons, and they should be able to use their benefits to purchase those.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Why don't we have Sherry next? Hi, Sherry. There's a little more room down at this end of the bench too, if somebody needs a wider or more space.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Welcome. Good to see you again,
Yeah.
Chair Durfee. And thank you to the rest of the committee for allowing me to speak to you today. My name is Sherry Marr, and I live in Athens in Windham County, Vermont. I co-manage the Brattleboro Winter Farmers Market, and I have long sat on the Vermont Farmers Market Association board. I'm also a volunteer Meals on Wheels driver in Grafton and Athens. And in that role, I have seen some of the significant poverty that many of my neighbors live in, and I know that that's just the tip of the iceberg. But it's with my farmers market hat that I am speaking with you today, after 18 years with my market and also being on the board for the Farmers Market Association. So I'm here to support all of the requests that you've been hearing from Ivy and Joanna with regards to SNAP Day and what the Vermont Food Bank and Hunger Free Vermont are proposing. But I'm especially interested in the NOFA request because of my role at the farmers market. Our market is an indoor market that began in 2006, and we operate weekly from November through March. Starting and looking at the 2019 season, for us, it would be 2019, 2020, going from November to March. We saw from that year to last season, we saw 150% increase in SNAP transactions at our market. So to speak to that increased need that happened. Many of them are new customers, but many of them are also longtime customers who are on food assistance. Many are families with children, and many are seniors, and many have health challenges. And they greatly value the access that they have for more nutritious local food and the relationships, as you heard from Nikki in her testimony, that they have forged with the local producers at our market. Over the 4 years that I'm referring to here, the actual SNAP dollars, so those federal dollars from the SNAP cards, that has increased by 119% in terms of what has been redeemed through our market. When combined with the incentives that you've just been hearing about, that's been a 408% increase in local food purchases from our farmers market and in dollars into the hands of the producers at our farmers market and food on the tables of our families that support our market. It's contributing to their health, it's contributing to the vitality of independent farms and small businesses, and it's contributing to a stronger local economy. While we celebrate the growth of local food access at our market, we've also recognized a potential threat should some of this support disappear. And that became a difficult reality for us this past fall when the Crop Cash and Crop Cash Plus programs ended as of December 1st. We informed our SNAP community and we asked them for feedback as to the impact that these programs had had on them. And so I'm going to share with you now some of the statements that we received from our customers and our SNAP participants. One of them, not long ago, my EBT benefits dropped and I needed to rebudget. I was counting on the farmers market coupons, which have varied also, and now I hardly know how to manage. Another person, please, please, please reinstate Crop Cash Inflation is causing me to run out of my EBT early, and the coupons have helped so much. Another, it can take a lot of anxiety away knowing that I can get healthy local food. And another, as a mentally and physically disabled individual, Prop cash falls only behind SSI, SSDI, and EBT or SNAP in supporting my wellness. It makes it financially viable as well as motivating me to go to the farmer's market, which I otherwise could not afford. Prop cash provides me with physical nourishment and the intangible benefit of allocating these funds to my market community. I'm validated by this participation, even in my darkest and hardest times. It affords me access to life-supporting goodness. Please support the program. And another, the Crop Cash boost to my family's EBT benefits makes an enormous difference. It means that I can afford to buy local and organic for my kids and support local farmers, which is crucial. With the Crop Cash, I'm much less likely to run out of grocery money each month. And as an incentive, that inspires many low-income families to spend time and gas to go to the farmer's market when they otherwise would not. It has a huge impact on our community, families, children, and farms alike. Please, please, please support Crop Cash. So I would urge you to support the requests that are before you with the SNAP Awareness Day presentations today, the $5 million request for the Vermont Food Bank, the additional $2 million to support the older Vermonters and the Meals on Wheels, the efforts through the bill that we were just discussing, H 703, but especially the NOFA request, because in that request, I feel like it's important to recognize that it's a triple benefit. It not only helps the families who are struggling with food, it helps them get healthier food. And as the farmer that Joanna just referred to, it's like a health prescription for them. It also supports those farmers, and it keeps a lot of federal dollars and more circulating in our local economy. So I see it as a triple win. Adequate nutrition, food is critical to healthy bodies, healthy families, and to healthy communities. And the more that can be local, the more that we all win. So I thank you for your time today, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Sherry. Representative Graham.
Might not necessarily be a question for you, but people that might be watching us, the food bank has already got a base funding. We want to increase it to 5 million, but you guys are not asking for 5 more million for food bank. Is that correct?
I'm going to let somebody else answer that question because I'm not absolutely sure about what the existing funding is that has been provided for the food bank, but maybe somebody else here.
Well, I think we're going to ask Ivy to come back up before we wrap up.
Okay.
He may or may not have the answer. If anybody thinks they know the answer, Representative Levitt.
They got $1 million for the BAA adjustment, for the budget adjustment, because they didn't get as much as they wanted last year for their base. So they're asking in the FY25 budget for 5 million in base.
So what is the current base?
They got $1 million. Last year I think they got 3 million. I don't know. I'll find out.
We will have somebody actually come in and clear it up, but I think you're right that in any case, it's not additional 5 or incremental 5. The questions, Representative O'Brien.
I was just confused on the Crop Cash. Is the program no longer in existence, or that piece of it that you could buy more than fruits and vegetables?
It's going to get a little complicated here, but let me explain. So Crop Cash and Crop Cash Plus ended at the end of November, okay? The market that I'm involved with is separate from the Brattleboro Summer Market, and we operate just November through March. We are a project of a nonprofit organization, and we were able to fundraise to replicate those programs. And so we've been able to continue it. We had about a week. We had already done, we knew that we weren't going to be able to get the Crop Cash Plus program already. And actually, we had created a program similar to that in 2020 and 2021, which I think served as a model for what became Crop Cash Plus. So that was already a go for our market for the foods beyond fruits and vegetables. But when Crop Cash lost money, we lost the additional fruits and vegetables through our market. We jumped in right away with a fundraising effort. And again, because we're a nonprofit, we were able to get grants and get charitable donations that enabled us to do it. So we only had like 1 or 2 weeks where we had no Crop Cash access. And we saw a significant drop, and our farmers were like, oh boy, this is going to be a tough season, which they didn't need after the summer that they had just had. So we were really grateful to the Vermont Community Foundation for stepping up to help us with their environmental justice fund, I believe it was. And so we have now replicated Crop Cash at our market through our own program. And so we are still able to offer our customers at the market with SNAP $1 becoming $3, up to $10. And so that means 10 becomes 30, and you can buy fresh fruits and vegetables with 10. You can buy any food at the market with the other 20.
But in general, the federal program is seasonal.
The federal program, well, it's not really a federal program. Maybe I should let Joanna jump in on that one.
Yeah, so the federal program that funds Crop Cash is on pause right now. We'll be starting up again for the summer season, but the Crop Cash Plus pilot that was state funded for 2023 ended in beginning of December because that was a one-time state innovation.
Any other?
Great. Thank you. I think we're going to go to our last witness, who actually is not, I believe, not here in person. And
So much.
we have some testimony that was recorded ahead of time, I believe, and Sidonia's going to pull it up and we'll be able to watch it here. This is Joey from Footbrook Farm in Johnstown.
I think the audio just has to come from my computer.
That's fine.
Vegetables and fruits, and we do about 30 sales.
I guess we were muted.
couple more minutes anyway. I believe there were a couple of questions earlier that you might be able to help us with.
I apologize, I don't remember the questions.
Oh, well, I guess it was my question, which is
Yes.
SNAP, Vermont federal SNAP.
So, there are already a number of states who have done what we are hoping Vermont will do. And essentially, it is using state dollars to stack on top of the federal dollars that come into Vermont through the SNAP program. So what it would do is essentially draw down the difference between someone's federal minimum benefit provided by the federal government and a certain amount based on their household size that the state would fund.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
That makes much sense.
Were there any other?
Joe Rodney had one.
Well, do you know what base funding is for food bank right now?
I think Carrie Steeler from the food bank would be the best person to come in and talk about the base funding from last year and how that relates to their request from this year.
Yeah, I think we'll ask the food bank to come in, Carrie or somebody to come in and present the request, formally in that sense, and then we can get that question answered. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming in today. We appreciate it. And so we'll stop